welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon. Hold on. AKA the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And we are back, and yeah, I had to just fix this real quick. But anyway, we are back for another recap of Real Housewives Miami, Season 6, Episode 6. It's called Farmer of the Opera. And before we get started with this episode, I must say, and I think y'all can figure it out, I feel like Miami's my favorite show. I mean, I'll just be honest. Like, it definitely is like my favorite Bravo show, and it's underrated because no one talks about it. And I think it's because it's newly back on Bravo. It was on Peacock before, and it might also have a special place in my heart because of the fact that it was what introduced me to even like start watching the Housewives shows, the reboot. Because it's a super diverse cast. You have a lesbian housewife on there, and you also have, and she's also, a different culture, from a different cultural background. You even have a little bit of stardom in there with Martina. I'm a huge tennis fan, so I know who Martina is and who she is to the sport especially. And then you also have like Black Haitian women on this show, which you're not going to really get that in much franchises. Maybe New York or New Jersey, but you're definitely going to get that in a Florida-based franchise because they have a huge Haitian community in Florida, particularly Dade County, MIA. And then you also have like the Cuban women on the show too, which very common in the Miami scene. So I just love the cast, and you have a lot of multi languages spoken in this cast, but you still get the fabulosity of like a Real Housewives show, similar to what you'll get in a Beverly Hills. So anyway, let's get started with the show though. So we do pick up where we left off with the F Cancer event party that Julia put together, and where we were, they finally contact Lisa on FaceTime, and she states that she did just call the cops. And so they're all shocked, of course, and she explains what happened, and what happened was, my apologies, I had a cough out of nowhere. So what happened is Lenny showed up to, it technically still is his house until it's finalized, but according to Lisa, her house, and basically popped into their room, and didn't demand it for her to leave, and he kept saying it's his house, his house. And and then Lenny's mom was there too, saying that like the new woman will be a much better mom than she is, and so she ends up calling cops because she felt threatened. And this episode was not as Lisa heavy, thank God. But I will continue to say this. It's definitely a toxic relationship. It is definitely a toxic relationship what they have. And besides it being a toxic relationship, it's very clear that Lisa needs therapy. And I really wish she would seek it. And we'll discuss it a little bit more later on in the episode where we go into that. But also, even just at the beginning when we're hearing the story and everything, it's, how this man is. And I know you want to fight for what is right for you, which is half of everything, right? Because, for the most part, she was someone who was, your typical housewife, a kept woman who didn't have her own anything. But it seems like, I don't really know the backstory of, was he already wealthy like this and she came into the picture, or did she help him build this? Either way, she should be compensated because I'm pretty sure he probably made sure she didn't work, wanted her to basically be a trophy wife. And so she adhered to that. So she definitely is deserving of compensation for dealing with that and putting up with everything she probably put up with. Because I can only imagine everything she put up with the type of parties they were going to and everything. It's definitely been alluded throughout the seasons, the type of parties that were being thrown at the house. And yeah, but if it's sacrificing your own safety and your own well-being, you shouldn't still be in the house. And a lot of the ladies had a similar sentiment as I did, including Dr. Nicole. She mentions in the confessional she just needs to get out of the house. It's not a safe space anymore, which part of me is kind of wondering if it ever was a safe space, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, let's move on. So the show must go on, and I agree. And Julia brings Martina to the center of the stage as they get the opera show started, if you will. And you can see that Julia is super nervous about performing, but she looks gorgeous, and she's going to do it. And they're showing her talking about her nervousness in the confessional, and then also showing some cut scenes with her practicing all throughout basically her farm, the farm area. Because they really don't have a farm. They just have really, really large land, Martina and Julia, that is. But they have so many animals, including quite a few farm animals. I personally would call it a farm because I'm a city girl, but I don't think it really is a farm technically. But anyway. So they were showing her practicing everywhere, and Jonathan, the opera singer that we were introduced to a couple episodes ago, he is making. It appears that he's the only one who's performing, so he goes on stage and he's like, "Hi, welcome to the show. We want to do this a little bit different today. I'm going to take some requests and I'll perform." And so Adriana raises her hand and she's like, yeah, let's do Liviano Liviano, I believe is the name of the song. And I'm not an opera girl, so I don't know. I know the song when I hear it because it's a very common opera song. Anyway, so he's like, okay, I can do this. And he asks if there's a pianist in the audience who can assist. And Adriana raises her hand because, again, this was planned. And Adriana is the one who is going to be playing it. We know this, right? Anyway, so as they get started, and it looks like they're getting started, we see Julia get up and she starts to sing. And it was the cutest moment because Martina was tickled and so happy and proud of her. You could see the love through the screen between Martina and Julia. And Julia, considering the fact that the girl is not really a singer for real, she actually did an alright job. The practicing that she was doing, which was she kind of cut that out a little bit and she really was projecting properly. And so she did a good job. It was good. It was so cute. And Martina was just tickled and crying, and the ladies loved it too. No, there is no hateration in this dancery. It was cute. And so afterwards, we see, so as this is happening, Lisa and Jody actually show up towards the end of the performance. So Lisa does get to see the tail end of it. And it was a really cute, feel-good scene. Martina is just so happy and proud, and it's so cute. And then Adriana and Martina are talking about the rehearsal afterwards because, they're like, yeah, you did that. They're doing that whole thing. And Larsa, because the performance is over with at this point. Because that was the performance. It was for this particular moment, and then that was it. I am kind of curious. I'm wondering if maybe there were other things that happened that just wasn't filmed. I would assume so, to be honest, because that would be kind of boring event. That's all we're doing. But anyway, so Larsa asked Lisa if she wants to go to a restaurant with her, and Lisa's like, yeah. So Lisa and Larsa excuse themselves, and then Alexia actually goes with them, and Lisa begins to fall apart and explain everything that took place. And and I already explained all that happened that led to her calling the cops. And Larsa states, to her, hey, we already have plans to go house hunting. I think we need to, speed that up and get you out of the house. And she just said it straight up. And it just blows me away that Lisa is the only one who doesn't see that her urgency needs to be a little bit more urgent than what it is. Like, she's so stuck on continuing to living the lifestyle and not changing that, instead of moving out of that house and rebuilding and getting to that lifestyle on your own. Like, but I understand why that would be a thing, because I think she got with Lenny when she was like in her early 20s. So that hustle bustle, those things that you learn in those impressionable years in your early 20s to basically, lack of a better terms, get out the mud. She ain't got it. And she even, when she's in her confessional, when she's crying about the whole thing, she's like, I'm not a fighter. I don't have this in me. And it's like, look, you with having children, you need to find it quickly. But we see just throughout this show, even with that, and I don't want it to sound insulting. It just is what it is. Lisa's not the smartest girl out there. It's like there's been signs that she should have left, but she was comfortable. She wanted to stay in the lifestyle. I get it. But even when it comes to other cues of common sense, it doesn't click with her. Similar to Larsa, actually, and I think this is why, I think this episode I figured out why Larsa and Lisa are so close and get each other and have each other's back. Particularly Larsa having Lisa's back, because with everyone else, it's like Larsa doesn't have that empathy bone in her, but with Lisa, she does, and I see why. And I'll go further in as we progress. So while this is happening, simultaneously in the other part of Adriana's property, we see that Julia confesses why she missed Martina's final appointment. And she's like, yeah, I was literally rehearsing for this. Like, I've been working really, really hard to get this together. And based off the results that she outputted just a little bit ago, Martina was tickled and actually, of course, forgave her. And Martina was so happy about this whole thing, and I loved it. The happiness was contagious, like, truly. And it's one of those few times on a Real Housewives show where it's literally a feel-good event. There's a little bit of drama, but like the feel-goodness is trumping all the drama that might be happening, and you don't see that often on these type of shows. And so maybe this is the other reason why I love Real Housewives of Miami so much, because it's a very common thing with this show that would happen. But anyway, so Guerdy and Dr. Nicole end up meeting up with Lisa, Larsa, and Alexia to find out what's going on with Lisa, because, they were doing their own thing. And Lisa did state that she ended up filling out an incident report. And Alexia is nervous for Lisa, as she should be, and states that in the confessional, again, the same thing we've all been saying. She needs to get out of this house and cut ties with this man as soon as possible. I know you want what you want, but you're already going to court for this anyway. Get out of the house and then do it. And she's not, and I think also too, because this is still playing out right now, in real life. And I mentioned, I think in the first episode, I don't see this going well as far as I don't think she's going to end up getting everything she wants. And unless she can, because I think Lenny's strategy is very clear. He wants to drive her crazy and milk her dry. he has so much disposable income that he is willing to just drag this on forever, and he knows that she doesn't have that. So I just wish she was a little bit more smart about it, and just, I don't want her to settle by any means, but unfortunately she is going to have to probably settle for this to be over with. Because at this point, it's like, settling might be better for your sanity than this continuing knockout, drag out fight that you may not win. And I know she's in her feelings and has convictions about everything, but part of the issue is she stayed for so long with all these things. And there's been new accusations that's been thrown out there in the news. I'm not going to go into that because, again, I'm only about reviewing the show. But unfortunately, because this is still just a issue that hasn't died, you just continue to hear more. And it's just it's so toxic. It's so toxic. Actually, it's one of those things like, that's one of the reasons why I just could never be I could never be a kept woman. it could never be me. I like independence too much, and even just a little bit of being dependent, I couldn't even handle that. Like, I got out of it. Like, I just couldn't do it. But to each their own. So after they kind of, talk to Lisa about this, we then see that Kiki, Adriana, and Julia do end up joining the rest of the ladies. And Dr. Nicole asks Guerdy if she's doing good, and she says she's zen. And then Lisa chimes in as well, which Guerdy quickly states that she already knew due to Larsa. Because Lisa is still trying to console Guerdy about her having cancer. And it's triggering Guerdy because, for obvious reasons. For one, Lisa lacks tact. And this is where I already said earlier, I kind of am understanding why Larsa and Lisa get along so well. They both lack tact. They don't have it. The tact is non-existent. And Lisa, and they're both pretty self-absorbed. I will say that too. I think with Lisa's situation especially, we don't see the self-absorbedness as much because Lenny, her estranged husband, is a trash can of a man. Basula. He's basula. You don't realize she's self-absorbed. That's my take. I feel like that's kind of the other thing. And Larsa, she's self-absorbed. And also dealt with a long-term marriage that didn't end forever. We don't know the behind the scenes of why it didn't end, but I mean, let's not call a thing a thing. Larsa is very self-absorbed, and we all know that. Like, when the Kardashians step away from you, and they're kind of known for being that way, and they even look at you like, anyway, so this triggers Guerdy, and Larsa starts lying and starts saying, like, you never told me not to tell anyone. And the thing is, what kills me about this is Larsa. You know you lying. And then after that, after she says you never told me not to tell anyone, she's like, you're welcome, by the way. I did this for you. Like, she tries to spin it and make it sound like that she did her a service by telling everyone. And it's just kind of like, no. It's like, I don't understand how Larsa does not understand that a health condition that is not your health condition, or not even a health condition, whatever's going on with someone else's body, why would you be the one who tells them? It's kind of equivalent, and I just kind of wish someone would just say it. It's equivalent to you announcing someone else's pregnancy. Why would you do that? Unless it's like your grandchild or something like that. Like, it was your child first. Like, I'm the grandma and I'm telling my friends that are not in proximity of my granddaughter or something like that. That would be, to me, the only way where that even logically would somewhat make sense. But even that is messy. You could ask, that just doesn't make sense. If it's something that's not going on with your body, why do you feel the right to announce that? And basically, that's exactly what Guerdy said. She's like, who are you? She just started going off on her and got her together in the most classiest way, saying, who are you to tell others about what's going on with me? Who are you? And Guerdy takes it a step further and calls her a pathological liar for lying. And Guerdy states her for not saying it. And Larsa gets offended because she's being called a liar, but you did lie. So I'm kind of like, but you lied, though. You did lie. And so Guerdy shades, and then Lisa is trying to basically, so Larsa leaves, she storms out, and then Lisa is trying to cape for Larsa, and I'm just like, Lisa, shut up. And I feel like Guerdy literally was feeling the same way, like, girl, shut up. This is like, because the thing that is bothering me about Lisa is Lisa's still taking it as if Guerdy's mad at her. Guerdy has never once said she was mad at you. She's mad at the fact that you had to find out the way you found out. And I don't understand why she's not seeing that that's what that is. And she's not and everyone around Lisa, as she's trying to defend Larsa for whatever reason, because Lisa's take is that she didn't think that Larsa did that maliciously. But it doesn't matter if it was malicious or not. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Like, you can't tell someone how they should feel about that kind of thing. And the rest of the ladies are literally trying to reason with Lisa and say, like, girl, like, you wouldn't have liked that happened to you. And because both Larsa and Lisa are self-absorbed, this is not computing. And also, too, Lisa, like I mentioned, she's not the brightest. She just is not. And so, and then the rest of the ladies are trying to chime, especially Adriana. Adriana's like, girl, just pull back. And so Guerdy shades her in the confessional, Lisa that is, and says that you would know a good place if it was in a car and it drove it into you, something to that effect. And I was like, when Guerdy's right, she's right, because look at Lisa's situation. And that's kind of one of those things like, Lisa, you have much bigger problems. I would all the way stay out of this. Just saying. So Lisa's still trying to cape for Larsa, and Guerdy has to get her together. She doesn't cuss her out or anything like that. She ends up getting her together, and Guerdy leaves. She's like, I gotta go. I can't do this. And so she apologizes to Julie on the way out, but everyone's understanding, and everyone understands why Guerdy has this reaction. The only person who doesn't understand this is literally Lisa and Larsa. They're the only ones that don't understand. Larsa's being a victim because Larsa does not know how to take accountability for anything. And Dr. Nicole thinks that Larsa had good intentions, but it was done poorly. And I'm like, Dr. Nicole, I know you want to be the voice of reason. Okay, so let me explain my thoughts on this. I really do think that Larsa did this because I feel and I think I said this before, Larsa's making this a storyline about her. Larsa did all this to make this about her. This was not a good intentions thing. I'm sorry, but it wasn't. Because she's literally making Guerdy's cancer a storyline about her. Because Larsa doesn't have a storyline. No one cares about her fake relationship. And no one cares about her podcast. With her fake relationship boyfriend. Larsa has nothing going on this show. And she really hasn't for the past couple seasons. So she's using Guerdy. And I love that Dr. Nicole's trying to give Larsa... I don't really like that I don't like that Dr. Nicole's trying to give Larsa grace, actually. Because it's like you even had... It's like Dr. Nicole forgot that Larsa called her... And she even checked... She did try to check Larsa about that. Like, why did you do that? But she didn't really... I feel like the check was not hard enough because Larsa didn't even she didn't even budge on that question. But you wouldn't do what you did, and then after you're mad about how Guerdy reacts, then goes back and asks, does she really have cancer? To me, none of that screams good intentions. None of it. And so, yeah, what are we doing? But anyway, so while this is happening, Martina does kind of stop everyone, and she does deliver a heartfelt speech to Julia, and that basically concludes the party. And unfortunately, that heartfelt speech happened after Guerdy left. So next we have our typical Housewives mini montage where we see Dr. Nicole getting Grayson's haircut. Alexi is meeting up with Peter at a nail salon to figure out what he needs. And then we pan over to Adriana, Lisa, and Larsa going property hunting, looking at a condo. And I did like this scene a lot because y'all already know I love me some house hunters and looking at nice houses. Whether I can afford them or not is a whole nother thing. And y'all already know I've been kind of trying to do this on my own journey as well. Not to this degree, of course. So they end up looking at a $6.9 million house. And the HOA is $4,100. And it's 3,200 square feet, 3 bedroom, 5 bathroom. The view is beautiful. And it's one of those condos that has all the amenities. And we got to see the whole condo. It really was a super nice tour. But immediately when I'm seeing this, I'm like, Lisa. And this is why I say what I say about Lisa. I don't hate Lisa by any means, but it's just the girl is not bright. She really isn't. She does not understand the concept of budgeting because she hasn't had to. And so therefore, they asked her, do you have a budget? Is this even in your budget? And she's like, I don't have a budget. I'm like, so whose money is going to pay for this place? And how can you afford this HOA? And then the property tax? And Lisa's kind of just looking dumb. And Larsa's even trying to reason with her. She's like, girl, I know you are used to certain lifestyles or whatever, but you're going to work your way down. And that is one thing I will respect Larsa for, is when she did finally end things with Scottie Pippen, her penthouse that she ended up moving into is a much smaller penthouse. She downgraded. And she has her own businesses outside of, and then she created her own businesses to basically streamline some income so that she can keep her lifestyle up. Along with, of course, the spousal support that she's getting from him. But she waited till all those loose ends were tied before she, really... Basically, she's living... It seems like Larsa is living within her means. And she's trying to encourage Lisa to do the same. But anyway, while this is happening, Lisa gets a text from Lenny asking her to stay away from him while he has the kids. And, again, toxic. normal toxic stuff. And then somehow it gets brought up where Lisa states that she was trying to apologize to Guerdy, and I'm just like, when did that happen? I was confused by that. I was like, I don't remember seeing that at all. And then, besides that, Lisa states that Guerdy was angry at her too, and I do not like this. Lisa, Larsa, tread lightly, because I read in between the lines of what y'all were trying to say there about how she was so angry and she's this. Don't try us. Don't do that. Don't do that. No, don't do that. I don't even know what else to say other than don't do that. Because it's like, she literally has a legitimate reason to be upset. And Lisa, you are... I don't even know why you even are in this. I feel like you're trying to make yourself be a part of this, and it really is not. You literally... She never lashed out at you directly. You indirectly got a bullet because you were the messenger. But she didn't really lash out at you after that. It's the fact that you keep defending Larsa's behavior is why she's lashing out at you. And you don't seem to understand that's why she lashed out at you the other night. It wasn't because of you delivering the message. It's because you're defending Larsa's behavior. And I didn't know Larsa needed a representative. I thought Larsa could speak for herself. And then Larsa. Never once did you try to apologize to that lady. You really need to stop it. And also, you're trying to also say that it's like, and then Adriana's there the whole entire time, just like side-eyeing both of them. She's like, what? Are y'all dumb? And Adriana in her confessional is like, girl, no, girl, no. No, girl, no. To Lisa in her confessional, and she's also states the obvious. She's like, Larsa's literally trying to make this whole entire situation about her. This is wild. And I was like, this exactly. Larsa is making the whole entire thing about her. And that's why I was calling from, I clocked it from the beginning. I was like, thank you. Thank you, Adriana, for stating the obvious, because that was way clear. But anyway, so after they kind of start talking about that, Lisa does mention that she wants to invite the ladies to Palm Beach for a trip. We find out that Lisa is creating her own perfume because she's working through, I think it's called 360 Aroma, aromatherapy company that she's partnering with on a business venture. So she wants to kind of make it a dual thing where she gets her business venture handled and then also, do a mini vacation. And she does state that it's a girls' trip because Larsa did ask if Marcus could come. She's like, no, it's a girls' trip. She's like, Jody's not coming. She's like, no, it is a girls' trip. And I was like, thank God. And Adriana, this season, I've been liking Adriana so far. Minus when sometimes she's overly shady for no reason. But for the most part, I've been loving her so far. And she did shade Larsa in the confessional. She's like, you can give Marcus and your vagina a rest for a couple days. It'll be fine. And then they pan over to Larsa talking about how often she gets things done of the sexual variety. Because she mentions she has sex 4 times a night, every night, during the reunion. So they pan over to that scene. But anyway, yeah. Next we have this cute scene with Grayson and Dr. Nicole heading to a farm. And we meet Julia and Julia brings her dog, Zorro, cute dog. And then Alexia meets them as well. And they're there, I think, mainly to go to the sunflower field. And the sunflower field was gorgeous. And side note, I really want to try to do that at some point in time when it's the fall. Because we have a sunflower field like outside of Chicago that everyone goes to that I've been wanting to do that with. So this just reminded me, okay, let's make that a thing. But anyway, the owner of the farm asked if anyone's afraid of bees. We find out that Julia's allergic to bees, like very allergic to bees, and Alexia is terrified of bees. So it was a cute, funny scene because we literally see 2 out of 3 ladies running away as they're trying to get sunflowers, but like also running away at the same time because both of them don't like bees. Like, actually, Julia likes bees, but she's super, super allergic. And we also find out for how allergic she is to bees and how much she's outside, she doesn't have her EpiPen on her. And I'm like, girl. But can we be honest? So, okay, for those who don't know, I get allergy shots, which is why my allergies are always horrible on these videos a lot of times. It's definitely improved, but I actually have to get them today. They're not fun. But because if you're someone who has a lot of allergies or gets allergy shots, you really should basically almost always have your EpiPen on you at all times. And I will admit, I'm guilty of forgetting it too here and there. But I've been trying to be better about it because none of my allergies are so bad where like I will go to the ER or anything like that. But what it is for those who get allergy shots, for those who aren't familiar, or if you're someone who wants to try to get allergy shots to basically remove allergy, to stop yourself from being allergic to things. What happens is they're putting the allergen in your body, so they're putting a higher dosage than what is even exposed to you typically. And they're putting all the things you're allergic to all at once. So you could potentially at any point in time go through epileptic shock and need to, use an EpiPen. So that's why it's recommended that you have an EpiPen on you at all times. So I tried, but I was like, yeah, that's not good. But Julia actually mentioned she's had emergencies 3 times though. So I guess for me, if I would have already had an emergency, I wouldn't be forgetting my EpiPen. But since I haven't had one and hopefully don't, I can understand how that happens. But anyway, so they do talk about Dr. Nicole and her journey about having another child. And we found out that she just took out her IUD to get the process started. And then she's going to be getting blood work done fairly soon to check to see if she's going to go the IVR approach. IVF approach. What is IVR? IVF approach, or if she can go all natural because she's in her late 30s. So, it could be a toss-up at that point in time. Because father time when it comes to female anatomy, at times, well, no, it is undefeated, but it just depends on each woman's body of when the expiration date is when it comes to the reproductive organs and system. Anyway, so then they go to get juice at this juice bar that's still within the property, and they have some fresh mozzarella salad from the farm. Everything looks amazing. They briefly recap the event, the event that Julia just had, and Alexia is explaining how she was so proud of her. And then Alexia does bring up Lisa and her concern about Lisa. And then Lisa calls and then invites them to Palm Beach. While it was like she literally spoke her into existence and then she calls. But then they hang up with her. And then Alexia has, basically before they hang up, Alexia does state to Lisa, can you promise not to talk about Lenny during this trip? And I was like, we are here. Because I agree. I'm so sick of hearing about it. I understand this is your life, but I will continue to say this until the cows go home. You need a therapist. Your boyfriend's not your therapist. Your friends are not your therapist. You, ma'am, need a therapist. Anyway, so Dr. Nicole states in a professional, this might be the trip she needs, Lisa needs, and that's true. Hopefully it is. And then Adriana invites Julia to go shopping for the trip, and then Julia starts this joke, and I thought it was a joke, but we'll find out later that it wasn't a joke, about her sharing a room with her. Like, she's like, yeah, we can share a room together because they're building their friendship. And by they, it's for those who, this is your first review, Alexia and Julia this is kind of the first season where they're really interacting and trying to build a friendship. And yeah. So this is why she started joking with her about this. Next, we have Marisol, Kiki, and Guerdy meeting up for drinks. And yes, the Haitian sisters are together. Because y'all already know Guerdy's Haitian. And then also Kiki is too. And this is, honestly, I love it because these are typically, if Guerdy wasn't going through what she was going through, usually Guerdy is kind of a comedic relief person. She's usually someone who has light, fun energy, and she still does. So the three of them, I didn't know I wanted it, but I like it. It was actually kind of cute. And so Guerdy states to Kiki, like, girl, you glowing. What's going on? And then Kiki's like, oh, I had some great sex last night. And Kiki being TMI. And then Marisol's basically clutching her pearls the whole entire time, but all in comedic fashion. So it was quite comical. I'm not going to go into details about how they said it or the way they said it. I feel like you just need to go back to this particular scene and watch it because it was good. It was very good. But we get to the funny because we can't be funny without serious, right? And vice versa. So Guerdy states, because they also did recap to Marisol how the F-Cancer event went. And Marisol's still holding on to the story that she had a procedure, but she won't tell anyone what the procedure was. And Kiki and Professional's just like, you could have like rescheduled that procedure, whatever your procedure was. And she's like, well, okay. You sure your procedure wasn't Adriana? Because it's clear. I feel like it's kind of somewhat obvious that they're trying, like, Marisol's trying to avoid Adriana, but she's not going to say it. But anyway, and the reason why I'm saying it because you get another scene later on this episode where it's like, girl. But she be finding the reasons and it be working. It could be either or. It's kind of funny. But anyway, so this leads to Guerdy like saying like, hey, whatever your personal procedure was, that's your personal business. Just like what's going on with me is my personal business. And so she starts talking about how basically Larsa needs to apologize, plain and simple. And she's not accepting any apology without the empathy. So basically, I'm sorry that, I'm sorry if, those apologies. And I love how so many, side note, I ain't gonna lie, people like Larsa, and maybe this is the reason why I'm just always on Larsa's neck, they trigger me. Because I have had people in my life that are like this, including a former situation that I was in, where their apologies were non-apologies. And I would literally call it out every single time. I was like, okay, thank you for your non-apology, but that's not an apology. I literally was like, how do people not know how to apologize? If you say, I'm sorry, okay, I'll just say this. And let's just make it cute and keep it simple and I'll keep it pushing because I don't want to rant and rave this whole entire review. But like, apologies are non-conditional. You don't do conditional apologies because a conditional apology means it's not an apology. I feel like that should be a common sense thing. You can take back an apology, but You don't lead any apology with conditions. Because therefore, it's almost like respectfully this. We say, anytime someone says respectfully with you, say respectfully, and then they say something else, they're leading with all kinds of disrespect. Because I do that. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a hypocrite. I'll just say it. Anyway. So, Kiki agrees with Guerdy basically with her sentiments about Larsa. And Marisol and Kiki, they both basically just do a great job of consoling her. Because as she's talking about it, and this is a thing about Guerdy that I'm hoping we'll see the ladies help her do a little bit more. As things get a little bit more serious with her throughout this season, she does get herself worked up. And so she was getting worked up, and with what she has going on health-wise, she should not be getting herself worked up like that. And she's getting more and more angry because she's like, it's just the audacity that she won't like, the lack of accountability. And I feel like, and maybe this is the reason why I feel a certain way, and even with the scene that I mentioned earlier about Larsa and Lisa, and they said she was so angry, I don't like how it comes off, and I'm not saying that any of this is real. And I think this is how Guerdy's feeling. She doesn't feel like Larsa treats her like a human. She feels like, I think Larsa triggers her and she feels like she's being dehumanized. That's why even when she was trying to talk to Larsa initially about the cancer diagnosis, she was looking for empathy. She was looking for Larsa to treat her like a human versus treating her like, oh, you're okay. You're okay. Oh, you're fine. Dismissing her the way she does. Because Guerdy is clearly a very sensitive woman. And it's not, I don't know how you can't see it, but maybe in different cultures, it doesn't look that way. But I can see that she's sensitive. I can see that she's someone who needs care. Like, not kitten gloves by any means, but like, just the same way you would talk to the way Larsa treats Lisa and the way she treats Guerdy, I don't understand why there's such a contrast. Next, we see Alexia and Julia going shopping together, trying out clothes. It's a fun scene. One thing I did notice, and I guess I didn't really notice it. I kind of noticed it a little bit during the reunion, but this scene especially, I was like, oh my gosh, Julia's lost some weight. She's looking good and looking naturally good too, and that's the beauty of it. And basically, Alexia is giving her the same compliment. And then Julia brings up this roommate situation again on this trip, just joking again, but I don't think she's joking because she keeps bringing it up. And Alexia jokes, but she's literally joking and being playful about it. She's like, oh, I'll have to ask Marisol. I'll have to ask Todd. And then Julia, somehow, some way, in her confessional, she finds it weird that she has to ask Todd about her rooming with her. And I would if it was anyone else, but since it's Alexia, I don't find it weird. And I will say this also too. Towards the end of the episode, you see where this is going, but kind of at this point, I was already seeing where I was going. Julia's reaching. I don't think Julia, outside of this event that she had with Martina, I don't think Julia really has anything else going on. And so I don't understand why she's reaching for this to be the reason why conflict happens. Because to me, it's kind of silly. And so she's bothered about Todd. About her needing to ask Todd about it. And it's just kind of like, I don't understand why she's bothered by that. It's her husband. But I think she's insinuating, and this is where I'm like kind of looking at her, I'm sighing her a little bit because it's like she's insinuating that Alexia needs to do that because she's a lesbian. And I don't like that. I don't like it. Because nothing about Alexia, to me, shows that. But we will see if it plays out maybe. And I might be wrong. But I don't see it. This is coming off as a reach. All right. So finally, the time is here for the next trip/event. So the ladies are all gathered at Jody's place, Lisa's boyfriend's place, to get ready to go to Palm Beach. And both Guerdy and Larsa and their both respective confessionals stated the goal of this trip is they're just going to stay away from each other. They're going to avoid each other, stay away from each other so that they can all coexist and have fun. And Julia shows up last, and she... Dr. Nicole and I were both just looking at her the same way. We're like, girl, what? Where are you going? She had these giant pearls, this hat. She was giving fashion, but it was not Florida fashion or Miami fashion. It was like Kentucky Derby fashion. She looked so out of place compared to everyone else. It was kind of funny. But anyway, they all end up heading to the car. But before that, Lisa says the kids are taken care of, so the kids won't be an issue. I don't know why she mentioned it, so I am going to mention it because maybe it might come to play in the next episode. But the kids, between the Lenny and the nanny, the kids should be good. And basically, they're on their way to riding to Palm Beach in style. They're all three of. So there's three Rolls Royce cars that they're in. And in the first car, we have Dr. Nicole, Kiki, and Adriana. And they're praising Lisa in the car for doing this business venture and finally, breaking free of Lenny and doing things on her own. Larsa, but on the other hand, Larsa, Alexia, and Julia are in the car together. And Alexia is asking, whose Rolls Royces are we driving? And Larsa capes for her girl as she always does. She's like, I think it's Jody's. Lisa, Marisol, and Guerdy are in the car and states that they are in Lenny's car. And this is what I meant. So yeah, it's like, girl. But I just don't understand this. I don't understand this. Like, you can't. Why are you still using his stuff like this? This is not your stuff. Like, you guys are in the middle of a nasty divorce. And this is not your stuff. So I can kind of see some of. I don't know. There's three sides of the story. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to drop it. I'm going to leave it there. And so Marisol's joking in the confessional saying like, oh my gosh, we're like sitting in like this girl's like stuff, like her fluids, lack of better terms, the mistress's like fluids is like, ugh. And I get why she said that because it's like, who knows what all Lenny was doing up in this car? And so that really tells me all three of those cars were Lenny's cars. Girl. And then also Lisa recaps the incident to Marisol because she wasn't there at the party and talks to her about it. And of course, Lenny states the exact opposite happened to the press and it's on the news. So everyone in their confessionals are reading what's in the paper about what happened that night. And again, toxic, messy, horrible. But back in the car, back in the other car with Julia, Larsa, and and Alexia, Larsa, in her rare comedic form, because I was cackling, I thought this was actually funny. She starts redoing the singing. She starts singing just like Julia, and she literally sounds just like Julia, doing the opera. So they had opera going on in this car because they just go all the way into it, and they just are all like they just all start doing it. I mean, Larsa's performing. She thinks she's on stage right now, and it's cracking me up. And then in Nicole's car, the car that Nicole is in, Adriana, Kiki, and her decide to listen to Adriana's music. And they're like, Miami's your home, my casa, su casa. And then they go from there to Miami's hot, 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 fire. See, I finally had a reason to do the song. I'm so glad I finally had the reason to do the song. I already do because I'm watching the show, but they actually played it on the episode, so there's that. Anyway, Larsa's joking in her confessional, because all this is happening at the same time, because they're all still just on the way to Palm Beach. And Larsa jokes in her confessional about the opera singing and how they should just start a band. She's like, I think we got this. I think we should start a band. We got this. And then Lisa is in the car and she stops talking about what happened with Lenny and starts talking about Jody. And then Marisol chimes in and starts talking about how she needs to stop talking to Jody as much about Lenny. And Guerdy's agreeing with Marisol. Everyone else agrees with this except for Lisa. Lisa is getting in her feelings. She feels like this is all negative. And it's like, no, it's what you need to hear. Stop talking to your new man about your ex-man. No man wants to hear that at all. Like, and she's not receiving it. And it's just kind of like, oh my gosh. But between all three cars, the car I would want to be in is, of course, Dr. Nicole, Kiki, and Adriana's car. Because that's how I am when I'm on road trips. I like to sing. I like to put on a show. So really, opera's not really my thing. So I wouldn't want to be in that car because they were kind of being obnoxious about it. And singing over songs that are on the radio, aka, in this case, this was songs that Adriana had, that's a little bit better of a vibe. So yeah, between the three cars, I would want to definitely be in that car. But anyway, they finally get to Palm Beach. And it seems beautiful. Adriana shares, she kind of gives a little bit of narration about how Palm Beach is old money versus Miami being new money. And I will say this, just in general, she's been narrating most of this episode, and I've been loving it. I kind of think I want her to be a full-time housewife come next season. I kind of want her back. She's good. Like, and I've been loving her fashions in the confessional. And she seems like she's back to her normal self. I mean, she's working on it. And I can see it. Like, I can definitely see that she's becoming more of a lighter, free person. So maybe that therapy is working. Hopefully we get a follow-up on that too. But anyway, they all arrive at the place. The place looks gorgeous. It is overlooking the water as it should. And they literally race to pick their own rooms. And it ends up being Alexia with Marisol in a room. I don't understand why anyone's surprised by that, because that is how they always room. That's their thing. They're besties. You're not going to separate them. And Julia is rooming with Adriana. And Julia is really trying to make this roommate thing an issue. So she's sharing with Adriana how she feels about it. And I don't really think this is even fair to Adriana, because Adriana has her own issues with both these ladies. This little frivolous thing that you're adding to it, it's not, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. It's kind of like you're whining to your friend about how you feel left out with the people that she's like having conflict with. And then you're also trying to insinuate that Todd might have an issue with you being a lesbian. But anyway, that's where the episode ends. I did like the episode for the most part. I am sideing Julia this season, at least this episode. Actually, really overall, because I've noticed this with Julia, because Julia is one of the newer housewives. She doesn't usually have much of a storyline ever, and it seems like whenever she does have any type of issue or conflict, it's a reach. It's like, it comes off, at least when I'm watching, that she's trying to find the issue. She tries to manufacture an issue, and that's not really good. And I don't like this issue she's trying to manufacture because it could come off a certain way. So, yeah. And Adriana, other than her issue with Marisol and then even her issue with Alexia, she's really minding her own business this season. And I think she's actually kind of pulled back a little bit with her conflict with both of them because of everything that's going on with Guerdy. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of the episode. And what you think about my review. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and I will see you next time. Bye.